Hello everybody, this is Simon with the final episode of Let's Play Mega Man 6. Today we're truly going to finish this. Grand words, I know, but it is a special occasion after all. First though, the usual. We're going to beat up Wily, and we're going to do it with the best this game has to offer. I fully intend to end on the highest of notes, so let's do this like gentlemen and box. First of all though, we have to go through another match dispenser. I truly do not know what purpose this one serves. You could maybe farm on those guys here, but I don't think I've ever had something drop from them, so I don't know if this works at all. It also could be that this is meant as a way for you to waste the weapon the boss is weak to, because this Mat Dispenser is obviously pretty easily hittable with Tomahawk, and Tomahawk is the final boss's weakness, which we are not going to see, because it is punching time. Punching is even the true weakness of the final boss. Look at how much damage I do on him while this awesome music runs. This is a very good final boss. And it's something that the series has been sorely lacking in these last few games. Especially Mega Man 5 had a very bad final boss, and 4 had too. This one here is pretty simple. It's really easy, even though it deals a lot of damage, but you can see even with my sliding being hampered by, well, having only punch at my disposal, it is still nothing to write home about, even though interesting things like this can happen. It is done very quickly, however, and we've got a third form, which is pretty much exactly the same as the last few forms, with one single difference: it is not absurdly shitty. You see, he is so large and easily hittable with this, that it is suddenly not annoying at all, like its two predecessors were. And the way you dodge him is actually interesting, and you have tons of weapons at your disposal to hit him with, except for Beat. He's completely immune to the little bird, which is pretty amusing in my opinion. But I think we're almost finished here, and no, I'm not going to use an E-Tank, because this is a photo finish. And it's the final time Wily will beg for us in 8-bit. And so Wily is caught, for real this time. The game stresses that point. Of course there will be more games afterwards, and because coming up with new bad guys is hard, he'll just escape. But that's for a far later date. As it stands, we're finished with the NES Mega Man games. I don't want to lose too many words on MM6 itself while the pretty good outro runs. You all know that I don't like it overly much. However, the devil lies mostly in the details here, and I've made sure to point out stuff that irks me. Much more, it's what the game stands for that makes me dislike it. A monument to how laziness and short-term thinking can thoroughly drag down something that could have been so far greater. I have always tried to look at these games in a broader scope, both in context with each other and with the times they came out in. Having only started to get interested in the series around 2008, a full 20 years after the first game got out, my view was always colored by what I was at the point, a modern gamer. Being used to graphics and music starting from the Super Nintendo's greatness, leading up to what we're used to today, should give great power to the statement that yes, the Mega Man series are truly classics. Every one of them is a game that can be enjoyed on its own merits even today, with little to no excuses needing to be made for their age. And still, the retrospective angle I'm assuming demands that comparisons be drawn, among the games themselves and with other games of their era. Let's start from the beginning. Mega Man 1 is not a particularly amazing game, but it had a very solid core to it that pushed it ahead of most of its competition immediately. Mega Man 2 expanded upon that, ironed out tons of kinks, and became undisputed king of the genre. Mega Man 3 tweaked the base engine even more, and pushed the series in the exactly right direction, that of an action-based fast-paced platformer, with speed and gameplay flow being the main design paradigms. This was at the beginning of a new age already. The Super Nintendo was on the horizon. Mega Man was ready to become truly great, cast off the shackles of the aged console it had debuted on and make a bold leap to 16 bits. Instead, they decided to push the NES to its limit and make the very pretty polished, refined Mega Man 4. I don't want to debut that decision. It would have been a great last hurrah to send Mega off, a love letter to the series' roots, adding even more welcome gameplay elements that would become staples in every game to come. But then, as we all know, the NES got 2 more Mega Man games. And disregarding my feelings on the games themselves, this is indeed something I question deeply. It was surely a safe decision that would lead to easy money, but I think it strongly foreshadowed the eventual downfall of the franchise. It was a short-term gain decision, which must have reeked of a cheap cash grab even back then, and even more so now that we know that Capcom tends to operate on that principle by default. Mega Man stayed stagnant, the gaming world moved on. 5 and 6 were retro way before retro was cool. They were relics of an age that has passed them as soon as they entered the market. The classic series fell into a deep slumber. MM7 and 8 failed to impress the public on pretty much every conceivable level. How could they? The franchise itself left them in the dust, dashing past with the infinitely superior Mega Man X. So no matter how good the classic series games might have been on their own, their stagnation made them obsolete. Principally, there is nothing wrong with giving players more of what worked before. We're generally easily pleased, it's just games. However, as with everything in the world, enough is enough. With Mega Man 4 a limit was reached, maybe even before. The series desperately needed to evolve in order to stay relevant, and failed. X breathed new life into it by being this next evolutionary step, and the way it continuously overshadowed the classics is almost embarrassing. Until the X games reached their own limits and spiraled into oblivion the exact same way, but that's not for me to document. What I'm getting at is this: I'm a little sad that such potential was wasted. The first classics were truly amazing games. The first X's were truly amazing games. 0 and CX were very, very good. However, each of those improvements came so late, so timidly, that ultimately the franchise's insane fear of evolution pushed it further and further back in the public's mind. And so, even the best new games are just 2D platformers on small handheld consoles. It is pretty unlikely at this point that the series will just up and revive itself. Had Capcom been just a little more adventurous, a little more courageous, Mega Man could have been a truly amazing series. But it is not. It is still very good, just not even close to how good it could have been. And that's just a shame. This was Let's Play Mega Man 6. I am Simon, and thank you very much for your attention.